just when you thought we were done talking about Cam Newton, he's back in the news, I guess. People are still reacting to him. I mean, man, your comments must be that bad that it's been over a week and we're still having people react to it. This time, it's 49ers tight end George Kittle. Typically, we've heard enough. I think we all kind of feel the same way about what Cam said, where he stands, and all that stuff, right? But when you hear from George on it, this is some good insight. And man, I love the argument I love Kittle's points. It's like he understands. So I want you to listen to what Kittle had to say. He joined the Rich Eisen show, and Rich Eisen, great setup by Rich, by alluding to Brock Purdy being a game manager. And so he opened up the topic, and George just, did George things. And he broke down it from multiple different perspectives and different degrees. And I want you to listen. Take a listen to George. Phenomenal job. We're going to react to it all on the other side.
I mean, you've had a Super Bowl year before with this team. Does it feel like it to you right now?
We're winning a lot of football games. We're currently the 1 seed. Our quarterback's playing at an incredibly high level that you haven't seen for a long time. And all of our skill positions are close to 1,000 yards receiving or plus 1,000 yards rushing. And our defense is our defense. And so, yes, I feel like I'm on a very talented team that has every opportunity to continue to win out from here on out.
Okay. So when you're talking about your quarterback, let me write this down. I wrote this notes. Are you talking about the game manager, Brock Purdy? Is that who you're talking about, George? The game manager?
Man, there's no one that manages the game quite like him, isn't there?
Oh, listen. He can manage. He can manage. I'll tell
wild.
you that. So
Isn't it wild?
What is it? Is it the way he looks? Is it where he was drafted? What is it? Where people are just
everyone just looks for, hey, what can I say today that people are going to argue with? And the one thing about 49ers fans is they like to argue with people who talk, crap about any of their players, about their franchise. And,
yes.
Brock's playing at an incredibly elite high level consistently, week in and week out, 130 passer ratings, perfect passer ratings, doing everything that you're supposed to do as a quarterback. But just because he has good skill positions around him and a solid head coach and, a pretty good defense, I would say.
Yes.
It's like, he doesn't get the credit for it because everyone's doing all the work for him. Well, we can't do any of that work unless he's the guy throwing the ball.
Yeah. So you're the perfect person, one of the few perfect people to ask about this because your name is thrown out there along with McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk. And, you mentioned obviously Kyle Shanahan. Of course, Purdy's going to be looking that way. Just roll the footballs out to folks like you. What examples or an example you can give me that Purdy brings to the huddle, to the table, to the film room, anything that can quiet anybody who feels he's just the guy who's in a perfect position and playing without mistakes? What do you got for me there, George?
Well, sure. You got weapons all over the field. It's something that Coach Shanahan and John Lynch have done, a good job of. But we've had these weapons. We've had them for a while. We haven't won, unfortunately. And Brock Purdy comes in, and last year he wins 12 straight. Or, our team won 12 straight. He came in as a starter and won. And then this year, besides, we had a little hiccup there in the middle. We lost 3 straight, which you never want to do. But he's been playing at an incredibly high level. And you just, I think it was a combination of Trent Williams and Richard Sherman. Never thought I'd say them in a sentence together. But those two guys have been talking about how if you just watch the actual tape and don't watch the highlights that, everyone just kind of throws out there, watch the tape of what Brock Purdy does consistently on every single play. It's phenomenal. He's playing the quarterback position at an incredibly high level. The way he drops back, his footwork, his reads, using his eyes to throw people off, the way that he gets the ball to his guys in space. I mean, he's playing at such a high level right now and the consistency of it too. It's hard to go out there and play football consistently 24/7. You can look around the league Dallas didn't look 100% consistent last night. My guy Josh Allen has been 100% consistent the whole season. He's still a hell of a football player. But Brock's just gone in almost every single week and just played at an incredibly high level. And so I just don't know why people are continuing to argue with the things that he's doing weekly. And you can't just put that on, having good wide receivers, good tight ends, good fullbacks. It's like, well, that's what you want every quarterback to have. Look at Peyton Manning with the Colts, man. The guy threw for, 1,000-yard receivers for multiple people. And like, you're not blaming Peyton Manning for having good players on this team. You're just you're saying, hey, Peyton, great job of getting your players the ball in space.
Man, I love it. I love it. I've been listening to George Kittle talk about quarterbacks for a long time, like crazy long time. I see most, if not all, I don't get to everything, but I see a lot of these interviews, and so many of them have been about the quarterback, and this dating years for George Kittle. And George Kittle is such a fun-loving guy. He's such a media presence that anytime you put a microphone in his face and he says something about the quarterback, it's going to be a great soundbite to use. It's going to be great, whatever they need it for. So he's asked about it consistently. He's asked about the quarterbacks consistently. And this might be one of my all-time favorite responses from George in regards to kind of backing up Brock Purdy. We've heard him back up all his guys. We've heard him back up Trey. We've heard him back up Jimmy. We've heard him back up Brock, CJ, Mullins. Doesn't matter. We've heard him talk about all of them glowingly. But I don't know, something about just what he had to say here. One of my favorite things about what he had to say was talking about the fan base. George Kittle knows our fan base very well, and he definitely knows that we like to get busy with anyone who speaks poorly on our quarterback. It's just how we work, man. It's just how we work. We did it with Jimmy. We did it with Trey, and we're doing it with Brock. So he knows us very well. I love that aspect of it. But on top of that, when you listen to all his points, what was one of my personal main talking points when countering all of Cam's comments? Cam, you're not watching the tape. Just watch the tape. The tape tells you. And that's exactly what he said. And I love what he said about not watching the highlights. And that's exactly it. Brock does, and I've said this since the very beginning as well. And of course, George feels the same way about it. And Brock does all the little things exceptionally well. So well that he doesn't even get credit for them anymore. He does all the small things so well. He doesn't get credit for them anymore. Again, like that one play where he had against the Cardinals where they brought an overload. They had protection going to the opposite side. He had to be alert on the free rusher. Free rusher's barreling down on him. He moves just enough out the way, gets it right beyond the free rusher, bangs it on Kittle. Kittle goes up the middle for a huge gain. That was Brock. That was Brock doing that. And there's so many examples of Brock playing the quarterback position at an extremely high level. That's why my ultimate pushback to Cam was, Cam, you're not watching the tape. You're just talking about this from a high level perspective. You're talking about this from the sense of any fan can talk about and say what you just said. That's the whole point. It's like, if you're really watching, if you're really paying attention, if you're really understanding the game of football, you know how well Brock Purdy is playing. So I love what Kittle had to say. I love it. He's just so happy too, talking about it. He's just like, well, he's like, I've been here before. But he's not, nothing's forced, nothing's made up. He believes it. He believes Brock's that guy. All these guys do. And that's the biggest key element. It's like at a certain point, like obviously we react to all these different things, all these different, the Nick Wrights and this and that and the other thing. It's like, and I get to in a certain extent, are the players going to come out and speak badly about their God? No, they're not. But like you can really get a sense of when they believe or when they're giving you talking points. And if there's anything that's been truer is we've listened to them talk about like 4 different quarterbacks over the last couple of years. So we have a pretty good reference point into kind of weeding through, kind of reading between the lines stuff. And there's nothing, everything that they say about Brock is real. It's unforced. It's truth. And again, we're at a point where it's like, if you still doubting Brock, whatever, man. I think Nate Burleson said it best at halftime of the game. He said, if you're doubting Brock Purdy as an MVP candidate, if you're doubting Brock Purdy and what he's doing right now, you simply don't know ball. And that's been our talk. That's been our talking point. And it's like Cam Newton. Cam knows ball, but you got to watch the ball to be able to understand the ball. Makes sense. And he's not watching like that. And that's why his take was so under fire. And that's why a week later we're still talking about it. But what did you guys think about what Kittle had to say? I loved every argument. Sounds like something we'd say on this channel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.